Today, we're tackling a heavy but crucial topic: how to prepare for a potential economic collapse. Now, this isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. We're going to break down the fundamentals into a clear step-by-step guide just for beginners. Okay, let's dive right in. It's so easy to think our way of life is permanent. But if you look at history, well, it tells a very different story. Even the most powerful nations have faltered. Their economies might seem invincible on the surface, but sometimes there are cracks underneath. Understanding this isn't about being pessimistic. It's just about being rational and recognizing that getting prepared is a really wise step. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll kick things off with why this is even a conversation worth having. Then we'll walk through the 4 core pillars of survival: food, water, shelter, and then skills and community. We'll wrap it all up with the most important part, your very first step. An economic collapse isn't just some localized event. The whole global economy really is like a fragile, interconnected house of cards. When one major nation falls, the connections it has for imports and exports just dry up. And that can create a domino effect that spreads all around the world. So when that house of cards starts to wobble, you want to be ready. Okay, let's get into our first and, you could argue, most critical pillar: your food. Because when the grocery store shelves go bare, food becomes the only thing that really matters. The complex supply chains we all depend on are surprisingly delicate, and if they fail, things could get desperate really, really fast. This number, it represents a pretty jarring reality. Almost half of all Americans have absolutely no emergency food supplies. And even for those who do, a 72-hour kit might get you through a blizzard, but it's completely inadequate for the kind of prolonged disruption an economic collapse would bring. So, how do you even start without getting totally overwhelmed? Well, you use a progressive plan. Don't try to go out and buy a year's worth of food tomorrow. Just focus on securing enough for 3 days. Once you've got that handled, you slowly build it up to 3 weeks, then 3 months, and eventually you can aim for a full year. This makes the whole goal manageable and, more importantly, achievable. Now, when you're storing food, you have a couple of main choices. Canned goods are a great start, but they only last about 2 to 5 years, and man, are they heavy and bulky. Freeze-dried foods, on the other hand, can last over 25 years, they keep excellent nutrition, and they're super light and compact. To give you an idea, 28 ounces of freeze-dried food can take up the space of just 1 can, but give you the equivalent of 17 cans of soup. That difference in efficiency is just massive for long-term planning. Storing food is step 1, but let's be honest, any stockpile is going to run out eventually. The next level of preparedness is all about replenishment. Can you grow a garden? Could you raise a few chickens for eggs? Every single meal you can produce yourself is one you don't have to take from your stockpile. That's how you build a truly sustainable system. This next part requires a huge mindset shift. You have to stop seeing food as just, well, sustenance, and start seeing it as a commodity. When paper money becomes worthless, food will become the original currency all over again. Someone who needs a new pair of shoes will gladly trade for some butter powder before they accept $1,000 of useless cash. So what are the highest value items? We're talking about things that are cheap right now, but will be absolutely priceless later. Things like heirloom seeds, salt, instant coffee, spices, sugar, alcohol, and even simple bouillon cubes. These things are inexpensive. You can store them for an incredibly long time, and you can bet they'll be the very first things to disappear from the shelves. All right, let's move to our second pillar, water. And as critical as food is, water is even more so. You can survive for weeks without food, but you've only got a few days without water. When the utilities fail, you can be sure the municipal water systems will fail right along with them. Just to put this into perspective, a family of 4 needs at a minimum 4,380 gallons of water a year. Storing that amount of water is it's not realistic for most people. And this highlights a critical truth. You cannot rely on storage alone. You have to have a plan to find and purify more water. Your action plan for water really needs 3 parts. First, store as much as you reasonably can, using that same progressive plan: 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. Second, you have to have systems to collect more. Rainwater collection from your gutters is a classic example. And third, you absolutely must have the means to purify it. A good filter, knowing how to boil water, or even building a homemade charcoal system. That can be the difference between life and death. Okay, on to our third pillar: shelter. And this isn't just about having a roof over your head. A true shelter strategy involves security, long-term stability, and, yeah, the potential for mobility. This is the fundamental question you have to answer about your current home. Is it a defensible fortress where you can stay put for the long haul, or is it more of a temporary stop before you need to move to a safer location? Your entire shelter plan really hinges on the answer to this one question. So when you're evaluating your shelter, think about these three things. Security. How well can you protect it from people, from fire, from other disasters? Stability. If you're a renter or you haven't paid off your mortgage, you don't truly own it. You could be forced out. And finally, mobility. What is your plan if leaving becomes your only option? Even if you plan to stay, you still need an evacuation plan. First, know your trigger. What specific event will make you leave? Second, have a destination already planned out. Third, have your essential gear packed and ready in a go bag. And finally, have some form of portable shelter, even if it's just a simple tarp. Having a plan B is not optional here. Let's move to our final and maybe the most important pillar. Food and water are resources you consume. They run out. But skills and community, those are resources that are renewable, and they actually grow over time. They are the true currency in a collapse. This is a pretty powerful comparison, right? Our current economy values software developers and bookkeepers. But in a collapse economy, your job might disappear overnight. Practical skills, though, gardening, fixing things, sewing, finding food, those become invaluable. The real question is, what can you do when the system we all rely on is gone? And this is the beauty of it. You can have all your food seized or stolen, but your knowledge, your skills, nobody can take those from you. They are a weightless asset that you carry with you wherever you go. Just learning how to build a fire or tie a proper knot or identify one edible plant, that instantly increases your odds of survival. An individual, no matter how prepared they are, is vulnerable, but a community, well, that's a fortress. A like-minded group with a diverse range of skills, a mechanic, a gardener, someone with first aid knowledge, is way more resilient than any one person. Building your network now is one of the most powerful preps you can possibly make. We've covered a lot of ground, I know. It can feel overwhelming, but the whole point here is to turn that anxiety into action. So let's talk about what you can do starting today. Here's your first month. It's simple and it's tangible. Week 1. Just buy an extra week's worth of water and non-perishable food on your normal grocery run. Week 2, get a good water filter. Week 3, put together a basic go bag. And week 4, learn one new practical skill. That's it. You've just taken 4 huge steps toward being prepared. So we'll leave you with this. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something. What is the one simple first step you will take today to build your resilience? Thanks for joining us.